Hello everyone, I'm Salih. Welcome to another episode from URL Shortener video series. In this video, if you remember, in the last video, we created our services and we've implemented our domain and application as well. And also we've injected those. And also I created this endpoints like application shorten and also for the code. Now in this video, we will be implementing the interfaces that we've created over here into our infrastructure layer. So let's start with code generator and dig into it. So let's start with code generator. So we are going to have some NuGet packages. I'm just going to replace those and we'll show you what it is. So as we are going to need to connect to Cosmos, we will need that, and we also need those as well. And this is going to give us some HTTP extension function for HTTP client. And we need that because we are going to be using Cosmos serialization, and also this is going to be used as well. So let me start with extension. Actually, not the extension, but let me create a directory and name it as a services. So we are going to have some services here. Let's start with iCosmos service. What we are going to do with that Cosmos service, this can be internal actually. And it's going to return bool. There will be a function. It will be add link, right? So we're going to have link, and which is short link entity model. So we're going to need to add that project reference, that domain one, and short link it will be. And we will have public class, internal class maybe, internal class Cosmos service, which inject that Cosmos service interface. So this is going to access that Cosmos DB, which we can have Cosmos client here, Cosmos client, let's say, use constructor, primary constructor, and have private read only. Make it even bigger. Container, let's say container. And we are going to use that Cosmos client to get the container with Cosmos constant. We are gonna need Cosmos constant. Did we not use the domain? Yes, we did. If I remember correctly, we didn't have. So do we have it in application? Yes, we have it in application. So this project needs to reference the project application as well. So if we inject that, also brings us that, yes, constants, that's why it's not constants, it's contents. Okay, constants, we are going to need that link database, and also Cosmos constant, and bring codes container this time. So this is codes container, sorry, not cons. Yeah, it's going to be codes. And what function we are going to have, let me implement that interface. Add link. So this is going to do actually response, await container, create item async, and we are going to pass short link entity that we have, and also new partition key with short links code. And let's make it async. Yes, so this function is basically do that and return response status code if and create it. So we are going to create an item on Azure Cosmos DB, and it's going to return an HTTP status code created if it is successfully created. And now I'm going to return it back as a Boolean, so if it is different than this one. So we will be injecting this Cosmos service. Let me move it to move. And also the application side, the main application side, is going to use our code generator service. That's why I'm going to have generator service. We can have interface for that one as well, but I'm not just going to create an interface for this. What I'm going to do, that I'm going to require HTTP client factory, and also I will have Cosmos service here. All right. And I'm going to have private read-only HTTP client here. I'm going to call it as client. And the way that I'm going to have that, I'm going to use HTTP client factory that create client. So I need to inject a client so I can consume it from here. The name that it asks me for that client will be that whatever I used for while injecting. I'm gonna use constant, let's say code generator, that client name. So within this infrastructure project, I'm gonna create a constant file, and I'm gonna have a code generator in that. Public class actually could be internal as well. So internal class code generator, what we say, client name. So client name, prop string const string client name, and it will be like, I don't know, this one, and API. Did we have something like here? So actually we have it there, but yeah, this is main API name. This is going to be client name. So main API infra client name. Let's give it a name so we can understand what it is. So now it can be used, and over here let me use a constants code generator client name. So okay, I now have HTTP client with me, so I can use it. And let's say we have a function that is async and return boolean, and say I don't know, persist model or persist entity that we are gonna have, which will be short link. So when we send this entity to this service, the code generator service, it is gonna use CosmosClient, Cosmos service that we have, and return, actually it doesn't have to be async, Cosmos service add link. So this could as well be add link, but doesn't matter in this case. So I'm using this code generator service in the others, and this one is consuming this Cosmos service to create that data. And also this is going to have another function, and let's say async task string, and it is going to be generate code. Now we are going to have to call that our HTTP service over here, HTTP client Azure function code generator function. How we can do it, let's say endpoint and new string builder. So I'm going to have a string builder, and it will be generate at first. It's because this is going to be our root. After the endpoint, we are going to add that one, and then depending on the parameter that I have over here, let's say we've got length, make it nullable and null, for instance. And also we are going to have, we may have seed value as a null, and also a long salt value could be null. So conditionally, I'm just going to add those data into query string. That's why I'm going to use endpoint here. For example, if seed has data, has value, for instance, I'm going to say endpoint append and query string seed. Actually, I would have the query string here, and would get rid of this and seed and this one. So, and ampersand come there. So let me quickly add the others. So length, for example, we've got length. We can do the same for length. And also if we have salt value, I can add that into our query string as well. So now I'm going to have a response back from await client get async. So this is going to generate a code and return that one. If you remember, it is the only thing that we return, and this function can return is success status code. If it is, then we can await response content read as string async, otherwise return null or return default, which would be okay. I'm gonna get rid of this nullable right now. So yeah, according to the parameters that I'm accepting over here, I'm adding those into query string, and I'm gonna use those query string. I'm gonna convert it to string. I'm gonna make a HTTP call via this HTTP client that I will be injecting in a minute. And it is going to return me a data. If you remember, this basically is generating the code and returning it as a string only, not in a JSON document or something. That's why I have to read it as a string here. Okay, code generator service seems to be okay, but one of those services not public. That's why it is. Okay, this seems to be reasonable. So I have the code generator. Just as I just said, I'm not gonna create an additional interface over it. I'll be using it here. So for example, we can inject those in here. So for example, let's say, so I code generator service, code generator service. This can be scope. Wait, this is code generator service, and this is code generator service, which, yeah, it doesn't implement code generator service. Go back. Okay, this will be okay. And then services add singleton, where I can inject Cosmos service. Cosmos service. Okay, it's inject singleton because the Cosmos basically is singleton behind the scene. And this is now where I need to inject my HTTP client. So for example, I can say services add HTTP client, and the name should match with the one that I've already created, constants, code generator, and client name. And the client that I will be configuring will be something like, okay, the base address will be one of those that we have configuration. But if you remember, we had that one with that data in our endpoint. So actually configuration, so it will be endpoint constants and short link generator base API URL. So this will be the URL that we are going to be using. If you remember, this is going to be the base address. When I consume that one, I will be adding this data after that. So I'm basically sending this one, but I believe it will be something like that. That's because we don't have the / after API. Yes, we don't have the /, so I'm just going to add this one while adding. So as I now have the HTTP client, I can also add the Cosmos client, which will be add a singleton. So you remember this one, Cosmos client from the last video, not last video, but from the other video. I'm just going to skip that one. So I'm going to use again connection string. So I'm going to get it where connection configuration, get connection string, the value, actually not connection string, but I can directly use it in that way. Connection constants, Cosmos connection config name. I'm going to read the whole config name from here. And also I'm going to return Cosmos client builder. I'm going to have a builder, and I can say with application name. So application name again could be our domain constant application name. So the main API name, and then I can call build and return that one. So it will generate a Cosmos client, and where I can use that one. But I don't need to specify that one now. Cosmos client builder, it's going to require connection string. Yes. So now I have added this Cosmos client, so it should be okay. And this is also being used by this one. So this one, code generator service, is done. So let's switch to event bus services. Okay, now for the infrastructure event bus services, I'm just going to need to add those NuGet packages, ServiceBus, and this was already added, and I've added this one, inject for injection. So if I go to dependency injection services, this is where we are going to inject our services, and I'm gonna inject our HTTP client. So let's add this one, connection constants, but this needs to consume that application as well. So to be able to use that constants, and those are gonna be from ServiceBus and constant ServiceBus config name. Okay, so I've injected my Azure ServiceBus, but I also will have that another service that will be used by application and main API. And let's create that one. So let's say I have services. So within that service, what I will do is that I will create ServiceBus message and send it to our ServiceBus. So let's say I have service or event bus service. So this is going to be I'm not going to create an additional interface. Actually, I already have one, right? So I event bus service, yes. So in that case, I am basically implementing a service bus service onto that event bus service. Let's say in the future you want to change it to RabbitMQ. What you're gonna do is that you are gonna have a RabbitMQ service with the same interface and inject that service against to that interface. Then everything will still be working. Okay, let's make it a primary constructor and ServiceBusClient we are gonna need, and let's call it client now. So for example, in the link created, what I'm gonna do is that I will have private static task send message, and I will have ServiceBus sender, and also binary data. Let's call it message. What I'm gonna do is new service bus message with that. Let's rename it to binary data. I'm gonna need that data to pass there, and it will be okay. So now I'm gonna call this one. So for instance, let's create a sender or sender. We can have ServiceBusClient create sender with the topic name. So the topic name will be, if you remember, ServiceBus constants, and we had topics and link created. So whatever the data sent me, that I will be using by calling send message, and this is the sender, and the binary data will be like that. This will be not binary data from object. Okay, this is for link created, and I'm gonna do the same for link visited, and event model is the same, and yeah, this is gonna be the okay. So this is the only thing that we are gonna do here, and let me inject that data, that service, and say okay, services add scoped event bus service, and it's gonna be service bus service. So whenever you need to change it to something else, you're gonna add it over here, and this seems to be okay as well. So this one as well called from program, I would call, and it should be okay if we have the configuration valid. And let's switch to next one. Okay, first thing first, we need to update this NuGet packages for that infra link. So it is again gonna use the Cosmos DB and also the Newtons of JSON. And as a service in that one, we are gonna need, let me create services here first. For example, we are gonna need iCosmos service. Actually, I just noticed that we did a mistake. So in code generator, we are not gonna need that add link service. This is going to be a part of this link infrastructure. So that's why I'm just going to get rid of this. Yes, this code generator doesn't need to have those implementations of both services. I will basically, and delete this one, I will basically move these two services in here and delete it from there. Only code generator service will be enough, and I need to cut this one and bring it to here. Okay, our Cosmos service will be here. Let me rename it, and let me add domain as well. So let me rename the namespace again. Yes, and for this one we are gonna need to add the project reference for application, and now this will be okay. So yeah, this service basically going to add the link onto that database. We are gonna need that one, and the add link will be there, but also we are gonna need additional. So this links also, as I just said, it will be read as well from Cosmos DB, and so it needs to read that data as we promised in application level. If we go, we had link service. If you see, a get link function is there, so we need to implement that one. So in here, Cosmos, actually before Cosmos, let me implement that link service first. So link service, let's say, and this will be iLink service, and we'll be implementing this, and let's make it public. So in this link service, there are two functions, and we will be using our Cosmos service. So Cosmos service, So this will be super easy actually. Maybe you can have argument null exception, throw null if the model is null, and return Cosmos service add link with the short and link entity model. So this will be it. And for that one as well, again, maybe you may have an argument null check here for the code parameter. We can return Cosmos DB get link Cosmos service. What was it? Not get link. We didn't add it here. So yeah, we are gonna need the get link function. It's gonna return short link entity. Okay, and this one, yes, short. But yeah, we've added this one. And where is it here? It will need to be implement interface. Okay, this will be it. And in here, Cosmos service get link. Yes. Now this is going to return the get link function, whoever calls that service. So I need to implement that service right now. So we've implemented that add link, but it is now for get link. So we are going to need to get the details by code. So I'm going to read the data as result response or response stream, I would say. And I'm going to say, I have a container, but wait. I have a container, so read item stream. I'm gonna tell you why I use that one, stream, not directly. So if you see container has read item as well, so read item or read many items. That read items would basically return the value that I'm looking for, but I'm gonna use stream instead of that. And also new partition key with the code as well. So I'm going to try to read that. And also I'm going to check if response stream is not status code. Maybe I'm going to return null here. If I used a read item, not a read item stream, if it wasn't found in the database, it was going to throw an exception. Then I would have to catch it there and then return the null value accordingly. But I don't want to do that. So I just want to make sure that if it is success or not. Also, what I'm going to say, okay, link entity, I'm going to need to read it from that stream, right? So I have Cosmos client already, and Cosmos client has got client options and it's got serializer in that, and I can say from stream and I can pass that stream data. So it is going to read the data by using that serializer that we already have in our Cosmos DB. We can return link entity. If you see, this is the type that we are looking for. I'm gonna get rid of this nullable as well. Okay, this seems now reasonable. So I've already implemented that get link as well and add link as well. Let me check if we are missing anything. Yes, services, link, add scopes, iLink service. This is going to be my link service when someone calls me. We don't need that one, so we can get rid of this. I know we are gonna need that one, so because we are gonna implement Cosmos client. Where is it? Here. So as we don't need Cosmos client here, I can basically move it from there to here. Exactly. So we have the configuration and Cosmos client builder. Why are you angry? Because yes, you don't need that. So we can get rid of you. And Cosmos, as we don't need you as well. The only method that we are gonna need is generate code. Okay, let's rebuild all solution. It was a long video, over 25 minutes. This seems to be okay. I will have to debug this and I'm going to stop the video. I'm going to have to debug this, and in the next video, we will be deploying it to our resources as well as we will be testing it. If it requires additional configuration, which we will need to add the connection strings as in environment variables on Azure, but we know how to use it and we will make it even quickly. If you like that content, please hit the like button, and if you have any question, please let me know in the comment section below. Until the next video, happy coding.